Hi you guys, welcome to Passenger Princess, where we are just the princesses in the passenger seat and Jesus is riding in the driver's seat and we're just following. Okay, and that is literally like the concept of Passenger Princess. This channel is literally going to just be my ministry channel where I speak on mental health and I speak on my walk with Christ and what that has been like as a woman of God who battles with mental illness. Yeah, y'all, like I'm so excited. This has been a concept since the summer when I was going through a hard time, and like here we are, we're finally executing it. Glory be to God. First video, as you guys can see by the title, is going to be titled "What is BPD?" and my testimony of my diagnosis. If you are interested in learning more about mental illnesses and walking with Christ and what that looks like and how you can allow God to walk with you throughout the hardships of life while keeping faith, subscribe to my channel. So let's get started. Everything written down here, so you see me looking down, and that is why. What is BPD? Most people commonly think that it is bipolar, but BPD is not bipolar. Bipolar and BPD are two different things. There is a huge difference. Borderline personality disorder, which is one of the most misunderstood mental illness conditions to this day, and honestly one of the most painful disorders to live with, according to Google and according to someone who battles with it. BPD is a mental health condition that affects how you regulate emotions, view yourself, and connect with others. BPD was first diagnosed in 1930. BPD affects 1.4% of adults in the US, but experts believe it is higher since it's often misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all. About 75% of people diagnosed with BPD are women. Men are often misdiagnosed with PTSD or depression, but men can also have BPD. It's a mental illness. We're going to get into the causes of BPD.
BPD is often caused by genetic factors, environmental factors, and even neurobiological factors.
It's not caused by a single factor. A combination of factors are involved, which means that most people can have it with environmental factors and just genetics, and then some people can have it with like neurobiological factors and genetic factors. Like it really can kind of coexist, or it could just be for one factor. Everyone's story is different. Another thing to mention also is that BPD has 4 different subtypes. So there's different types of BPD. There's not just one, there's different types.
Pause and read so that you are able to read each of the 4 subtypes of BPD.
This whole channel is really here to bring awareness to it, so you will learn more about it as you continue to watch. Here are some of the key symptoms of BPD. Fear of abandonment, intense or unstable relationships, shifting self-image, impulsive behaviors, strong emotions that feel hard to control, feeling empty inside, sometimes anger outbursts or shutting down, at times feeling disconnected from realities, which is also called dispersonalization or derealization, which I've experienced, and it sucks. There is also many other symptoms of BPD, but those are just like the main common ones that I was able to write down. I'm kind of going to break down each symptom and how I noticed these symptoms in myself and what they look like. Fear of abandonment. Most people with BPD have a common fear of abandonment. Not liking goodbyes, like having a really hard time with goodbyes, not wanting a person to really leave them. Like it's not always, sometimes very extreme, like please don't leave, but there can be extreme cases where that is kind of what that looks like, and I've had experiences with that in my past relationships or friendships. Pretty much just always on edge about people leaving them, people abandoning them, people just kind of throwing them to the side. That's the big fear that most people with BPD have, hence why environmental factor is played in BPD, because it says a lot about their environment that they grew up in and why they have this huge sense of a fear of abandonment. The next one is intense or unstable relationships. Growing up, I would always have very intense or unstable relationships with people, even just platonically and both romantically. Like with friends, it was either they were my best friends or my enemies. Like there was really no in between. I never really was good with just having friends. And also if I was at work, like I would come home and be like, oh, my friends, like those are my friends. And I would never have a middle ground of knowing those are just my colleagues, those are just associates, those are just people. How the neurotypical person would see things in life would be more of a colorful standpoint, and I'm gonna put a picture on the screen of what that looks like. Everything's either all good, everything's either all bad. There's no in between.
So looking at this, the common thinking is a person who is neurotypical, who does not have BPD, they're able to rationalize more and understand what is going on. And a person who is BPD has a black and white thinking brain where they're not.
Our amygdala is 10 times smaller than the average neurotypical person.
Alright, so I'm going to do a voiceover over this part, but with the amygdala being 10 times smaller, the prefrontal cortex is not able to support it the way it should.
So, hence why people with BPD or myself with BPD deal with intense emotions, and we're not able to rationalize between what's real and what's not. So, when talking about intense and unstable relationships, having very intense and unstable relationships kind of fall into that. It's almost as if like our flight or flight is like really spiked up, and we're not able to really sit and be like, you know what, like this person is not leaving, they just have things to do, or this person doesn't hate me, they just are setting boundaries. This person does not hate me, they're just taking space. Like we have a really hard time understanding that a person is not always out to get us. If you have questions, of course you can comment them and I will answer with the best of my ability, but I'm going based off my notes, and I'm also trying to like throw in like things that I probably forgot as well. Shifting self-image, we really struggle with our identity and knowing who we are because like things were always black and white. We never really were able to sit and feel comfortable in ourselves, or at least I know I was never really able to be comfortable in myself. So I always would base my personality off of things that I enjoyed. Like if I watched a movie and I really favored a character, I would pick up the traits of that character from that movie. Like that's literally what that is like sometimes. Impulsive behaviors. What this looks like is substance abuse, unsafe sex, binging, purging, like eating disorders, honestly to make it short. This could look like gambling, this can look like just doing things kind of like out of the random, like just very impulsive, like shopping excessively, spending a lot of money, or being bad with the money. Those are just like common examples of what impulsive behaviors can look like with people. Strong emotions that are hard to control. Anger feels like rage, sadness feels like depression, fear feels like you're paranoid, and you're kind of just like stuck and stagnant. Take any emotion and kind of amp it up to 10. Is literally what a person with BPD feels. BPD is compared to having 90% burns over your body emotionally. So imagine when you feel anger, you feel anger from your head to your toes. Or you ever hear people say like, when I'm angry, I see all red. Like I just see all red. Where we kind of lose consciousness and we can no longer regulate what is going on. And if something feels like a threat, we kind of just go at that threat. Strong emotions that are hard to control feel like. At times feeling disconnected from reality. People with BPD, we tend to kind of live in our heads a lot. For me, I do a lot of like intrusive thoughts or intrusive thinking, to where it's like most times it feels like my head just does not shut up. Like, you know, when you're reading a book and kind of like there's a voice in your head that's reading it for you. With BPD, imagine that, but imagine a voice that is constantly throwing your past at you, constantly reminding you of a conversation that you had 5 weeks ago, and how their tone was off, and how they probably hate you, and how like they're probably not your real friend. And imagine that, like imagine where your brain is pretty much wired to be against you. It's like a mental prison, literally. And also, like, I am bringing awareness. Like, I don't want people to sit and like, this channel is not for sympathy. This channel is simply for awareness, connection, and support. Women of God who struggle with mental illnesses or who possibly struggle with BPD have a safe space that they could come to and just find like answers, or just find connection and community. So like, I don't want anyone feeling bad for me or anybody like worried about me after this video, because you guys, I'm good. The Lord has me. Yes, I have my days, but I'm a lot better than I used to be a year ago or 2 years ago. And I can only give Jesus the glory for that, because y'all, I was a mess. But we're gonna get into the testimonial part of this video. How I found out I had BPD. Growing up, I had 6 brothers, I have 5 sisters. So a lot of times when growing up, I would tell people that, and I would just be like, yeah, like I have a big family and da da da. And I would say, like, when you have a lot of siblings, it can be hard to emotionally care for each child, like actually having that emotional support. And I know for me, growing up having a lot of siblings, I didn't really have much emotional support. I kind of dealt with a lot of emotions to myself, or you know how Black parents will tell you, like, oh, you keep crying, I'll give you something to cry for. Like, that is sometimes where BPD will literally spark and come from. I dealt with a lot of bullying, just having no safe space for me. Like, home was kind of like chaotic and dysfunctional. Seeing things that I probably shouldn't have saw, hearing things I probably shouldn't have heard, can have led to my BPD. There's still so much that I'm still trying to understand about my childhood. Like, honestly, a lot of it is kind of blurred out, but a lot of it is still remembered. And not to like really put the blame on my parents or like my siblings or anything like that. It's just really to talk about what led up to my BPD and why I have it. That's pretty much it. So yeah, I dealt with bullying, even dealt with like abuse. Yeah. So just imagine that, like, just growing up feeling really alone, feeling like you couldn't talk to no one about how you felt. And when you do, it's kind of thrown against you, so you kind of learn to just kind of isolate and stay to yourself. I grew up like having doll babies that I would like talk to. They would have names, mostly like confined it in elderlies or older people, like in places where I felt safe, like school maybe. Like principals or elderly neighbors. Like, I really confided a lot into them when I was younger. I was very disruptive, like, and this was after my bullying, like, your parents, instead of like being like, oh, you're being bullied, oh, this sucks, like, we should probably, I don't know, see what's going on at school. They're like, you embarrassed me today because you had an outburst. Or it was like more of a, I embarrassed them, so now I feel bad for just existing and not having that proper help. I dealt with even just like teachers who were emotionally abusive, like saying things to me that they probably shouldn't have said. Like, I one time had a teacher tell me that I looked like a monkey and that I should look in the mirror, and that stuck with me as a kid. Like, imagine being bullied, imagine finally just saying, you know what, I'm tired of this, and you're the one being punished for it. You're still not being understood. That was pretty much me. I dealt with a lot of anger and a lot of attitude growing up, which you will hear a lot of Black girls you hear growing up, like, oh, you got an attitude, you walk around like your ass don't stink and da da da. And in reality, they're neurodivergent and they're not unable to express how they feel, and no one cares, because the moment they do, they're told to wipe their face, they're told to go figure it out somewhere, or they're told to not embarrass their parents. So I dealt with being exposed to things sexually really young. I dealt with seeing violence pretty young. I dealt with seeing or hearing death pretty young. In middle school, like, to get into middle school, y'all. In middle school, kind of like what that no sense of self looked like. Like, I didn't really have, like, I had interest in things that I was into, but it was always based on the people I was around. Like, if I had friends and they were into something, that's kind of just what I begun to be interested in. I never had my own sense of identity. And if I did, it was almost like things that I saw off TV. So I was almost like just pieces of people I met, ball into one. I was never really myself. Like, matter of fact, I was myself, but with being myself, I was the outcast. So instead of me just being the outcast, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna fit in. And this is just with bullying and stuff. But like, I dealt with a lot of that. Yeah, I had a pretty rough childhood. Like, I dealt with homelessness pretty young as well. When I was 8 to 10, I dealt with homelessness and what that felt like. So that kind of goes into my childhood and not middle school, but I dealt with that as well. So it just kind of goes to show like what my life was like. And this is not what all BPD people's life can look like, but typically when you hear testimonies or when you hear like just stories on people with BPD, it's always sometimes just very dysfunctional chaotic home that they were involved in, or just growing up too young and having to kind of figure things out on their own emotionally. School, I never really fit in. I was always kind of like the outcast. If I did have friends, I most likely just did whatever I could to fit in, and they probably just bullied me or made fun of the way I spoke, made fun of my outfit, my hair, like things that I actually enjoyed about myself. Like, I never was able to feel accepted a lot of the times. So it was like, yeah. And people with BPD typically become huge people pleasers. So like, I would literally do whatever I could to keep my friends around, to keep them happy, even if it meant I was sad, depressed, and they were terrible people. But yeah, that's what I would do. Like, I had very unstable relationships. I would break up with people in like a day of like talking to them, because for me it really was just like a dopamine boost. It was never really, oh, I like this person. And sometimes it'd be intense. Like, I would know a guy for like a day and be like, oh yeah, like that's my boyfriend. Like, yeah, we're together. Like, we're gonna be married and have kids and move into a mansion. Like, bro, we're in middle school. Like, that's kind of what my middle school experience looked like. I pretty much dated around, which is another symptom of BPD. A woman with BPD would come off as fast. I wasn't sexually active in middle school, but I was definitely boy crazy in middle school. I spoke with a lot of dudes, didn't go anywhere. It was a mess. I was mostly just overly sexualized, and none of them dudes cared about me. So I don't even know why I tried. I remember one relationship that I was in, which was actually with a girl, and like how my dad responded to it. Like, he literally hated my damn guts when he found out that I was dating a girl, because to my dad, he was kind of just like, ain't no way my daughter is a lesbian. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. So I dealt with a really hard time during that time, having to kind of hide that from my father, and coming home and like knowing that he didn't approve of me anymore, and that like he kind of just one minute went from me being his like all-star daughter to just like being the daughter that he kind of felt ashamed of. And he pretty much verbatimly told me like he wouldn't claim me. So that's also where BPD can stem from. Having a parent who is also either mentally unstable or just narcissistic, where like one minute they put you on a pedestal, and when you do something terrible, then now all of a sudden you're no longer on that pedestal, and they're telling you every single thing that they don't like about you. So I remember middle school, yeah, definitely. I had different hair colors all the time, different hair colors, different hairstyles. I would switch up my style a lot. I was definitely like a popular loner, or more just a loner in high school. In middle school, I would say I was more of like a popular loner. Like, I knew a lot of people, but never really had solid friends. In high school, I was just a loner, period. Like, I had one friend, and like she was into majorette, so I was into majorette. I didn't like the idea of my friends having other friends. Like, and that's another sign of BPD. Is like, you're very territorial. Kind of see a person as your person, and like they can't have no one else but you. Like, that's literally how I was. So like, if my friend was to one day just walk into the classroom with another person, my feelings would be hurt. I'll just be like, oh, like she just doesn't want to be my friend anymore. She's fake. She's tossing me to the side like I'm nothing. Like, that's kind of how my head would go. So I was split on my friends almost every day. Like, imagine having a friend where like one second y'all are laughing, chilling, and then the next day, because you just like didn't talk to her, or you didn't keep a routine. Because in my head, I kept routines. Like, not knowing that this was a neurodivergent disorder, meaning that my brain is literally different. In my head, I would come up with routines, and people around me weren't following those routines. I would literally be spiraling. I had a really hard time with social cues and knowing when a person cared for me and when a person just didn't care at all. So like, I would come to school and people would just not like me, and I'll be like, what the hell did I do? And I really was a bad friend. I wasn't the best friend. Like, I wasn't. I was very inconsistent, very inconsiderate, very territorial, pretty jealous. When I was upset with my friends, I would say the most terrible things to them. And this is just like outbursts and those anger outbursts. And I would regret it so bad. Like, I would have episodes of just like blocking people in my phone, and then be like, what happened to them? Why are you not following me? Like, bro, you literally just blocked them 2 days ago. Like, you forgot. I would do that. I would block people, unfollow them, follow them back, And imagine being a friend with somebody like that and they're just like, oh, I blocked you when I was mad at you the other day because you didn't read my text. Yeah. You want to go get coffee later? Like, no. What the? Like, oh, imagine just like not even knowing that you have BPD and this is just how you are. Yes, that was me. I had really bad social anxiety, which can be another symptom of BPD or just another thing that can coexist with it. Social anxiety, depression, ADHD, autism, like those all can coexist with BPD. I do not have them all, but I do have anxiety and depression. So yeah, I was definitely self-harming as well. I was listening to a lot of like sad, depressive music. I would have really bad anger outbursts. Like I would literally throw everything around my room. Like I would throw everything and then I would just like sit with it and be like, damn, I just messed up my whole entire room. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta clean this up. And it would sit dirty for a day and then I would like clean it up randomly at 3 a.m. All or nothing thinking. Like I would work out very intensely, binge eat pretty badly, then I would just like starve. Like it was bad. It was very unstable, very disruptive. I would say it was a lot, y'all. Let's get into 2020 when I found out that I had my disorder.
A lot of people be self-diagnosing like y'all don't have it, like.
And let's be real, BPD is really hard to get a diagnosis for because most times, especially as a black woman, you can be misdiagnosed with something else. Like, oh, she just got bipolar, or oh, she's probably just this, or she's probably just depressed. So sometimes self-diagnosing is the best option for you to be able to just get the help you need, even if it's not professionally. But at the time, that's what I was able to do. And yeah, so in 2020, when I was battling with a very, very, very severe depressive episode, when I was just like stuck in my room in the basement. This is like around the time when I got my own room. Like I was just stuck in my room, like losing a lot of weight, very, very sad. Like I would do my makeup and like cry in my makeup. I was shaving my eyebrows like randomly when I was sad. Like I was just doing a lot of things that I just didn't understand why I was doing it. Like just going days and days and days and days and days without talking to my friends or blocking them, ghosting them. Like I got really fed up with how I was, and I just knew that it wasn't normal. I knew that people weren't doing this and that I was different, and I always felt like that. So one day 2020, I just like went on TikTok and I like looked up just like a symptom of mine, and BPD, like a video on BPD popped up. And I'm just like, this sounds like me. It was around a time when like a lot of people didn't really make videos on it, like in depth. So like when I was on YouTube looking at videos on BPD, I'm just like, bro, this sounds like me. Like this is literally me. It was nothing but like professional doctor videos, which like helped a lot because it was professionals talking on it. But I think that it really helped me understand what I was going through. Like to have somebody have the words for it and a name for it. It was almost as if like, in a way, the elephant was lifted off my shoulder, but it was like an elephant was added because it was like, dang, that's me. I have a personality disorder. And I remember the first person I told was my best friend. Man, it was just crazy, y'all. So like imagine 2020, I self-diagnosed myself. And from there, I started buying books on it, like BPD, like workbooks. I started like just reading books on it. I got into new age spirituality, like, which I was kind of exploring already, but like once I had the name for it, I started seeking answers. More I thought could help me, which was like just being spiritual, reading a bunch of books on it, meditating at the time, saging, collecting crystals. Like I thought all of these things were gonna help me, which I'm gonna get into a video on that, but that's just something that I was doing at the time. Once I found out I had BPD, I was trying to do everything to help myself when I really should have just been trying to get a proper diagnosis. But why? But at the time, that was just how I was. Like I was very isolated, very anxious outside. Like I couldn't even go outside without having panic attacks. Like that's how bad I was in public. So like therapy and like seeking the proper diagnosis was not something I was thinking of. I felt very ashamed of telling my family like, hey, I have a personality disorder, or like I think this is something that I'm struggling with, because especially just in black families, like mental illness is definitely looked down upon or like shamed or just not fully accepted. So I really kept that to myself, and I could have told someone, but I just did not feel like I could, like, because I battled a lot with really deep, like, shame, like inner shame and guilt, like, just like, damn, like, I don't know if I could tell my parents that, like, this is how I am. Like, I didn't want them to feel ashamed or to feel like, dang, like, what is wrong with my daughter? And I hid a lot of things to myself. Fast forward, you guys, 2025. Finally, and officially got a diagnosis for my BPD by my therapist and a psychiatrist, and I was finally able to be medicated. And this happened in, January or February. I'm not sure. January, either February or March of 2025, y'all. I got my professional diagnosis, and like it felt like a huge relief to have a therapist, or because I had a therapist before, y'all, but I had ghosted him like some. And honestly, thinking back at it, like, he was a white male. It wasn't really working. I don't know why I thought a white male can be a therapist for me. Not to say it like that, but like, no. And this was after a time when I was going through a huge episode of depersonalization. Like, I was working at a school with children, which is something that I really enjoy doing. I was really stressed, and with having BPD and dealing with stress, and especially the stress of children and having to regulate their emotions for them, it was like, bro, I could barely do it for myself. So I was very overwhelmed, very easily angered, easily disturbed. So like, it got so bad to the point where I just like mentally zoned out. I didn't feel like I was there. Like, I felt like just sitting down and watching them, I felt like I was just watching outside. I was watching on the inside of my body, and like, imagine going through that for months. Like, my identity, I didn't know what to do with it, like, literally. And with having a personality disorder and trying to be a woman of God, y'all, I thought that I had to be what I saw on TV, be what the Bible says for me to be. I have to be a Proverbs 31 woman. I have to wake up early. I have to wear long skirts. I was real strict. So I kind of, in a way, developed like a Pharisee spirit, where like, I thought if I just look the part, that I can just inwardly be the part. And no, that's not how sanctification works. So like, though I was saved in 2023, I was still battling with my addictions. I was still battling with my identity. I was still battling with the strongholds that I held on to for so long, and honestly still sometimes are struggling with. I know in this video I didn't really mention, my faith enough, but yeah, like, Christ definitely saved me from a lot of things. Like, I was just, man, like, the joy that I felt when I first came to Christ, bro, was something that I would want my biggest enemies to encounter. Like, literally, spiritual warfare that came with it. Like, man, like, the enemy was pissed. Like, the fact that I was able to finally understand who I was in Christ and no longer be held by the lies and deception of the spiritual or the new age that I was into, or just like the bondage that I was held so tightly to. And that battle was a big battle. Like, y'all, I was a terrible person. We finally got our proper diagnosis, and now I can definitely say that I am more stable with my BPD than I've ever been in my life, and all glory to Christ. But I definitely have to thank my therapist and my psychiatrist. From not having identity at all, not understanding yours, and just like going off of worldly identities and people around me, to finally being able to know that who I was in God was just set, and it wasn't something that I can just say, I'm gonna do that on my own, boy, never mind. Like, it was set. I gotta give all glory to him. Like, this video or this channel wouldn't be an idea if he didn't place it in my heart, y'all. It's definitely different for me to come on a camera and to talk about something as raw as my experience with BPD, but it's possible. And one thing I definitely want to say is that Jesus saves. You just gotta really work with him with the sanctification process. And of course, you guys, I will definitely be sharing my testimony more in depth on this channel, but I just kind of wanted to lightly explain just like my BPD, the process of it, and like diagnosis. I definitely recommend everyone to get a professional diagnosis, just so that you can have that clarity in your head. You're no longer feeling like you're an imposter. Tell people, tell your family, tell your friends, take care of yourself. And it is rough, but it is worth it. Also, another thing that people love to believe about BPD is that it is uncurable. BPD is not uncurable. You can literally reverse the symptoms and no longer meet the criteria. So that is always my goal each day, is to no longer meet the criteria of BPD. But it is possible. You can do it. You're not alone. Jesus loves you. He is with you, and he wants you to allow him to join you. I really, really, really appreciate anyone who sat and watched this full video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, follow my main channel, and follow my social medias. I'm not as active really on them, but you can still follow me on there. Hopefully this video wasn't all over the place and you were able to actually learn what BPD is. Yeah.